Hi, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be doing CSS Battle Daily Target for June 26, 2025. Alright, so I've already solved this. And this one is harder than it looks because some of the values for example, like width and height of some of these elements are numbers that you wouldn't normally expect, like 36 pixels or 58 pixels or whatever, It's going to be a little bit tricky to find, but anyways, so let's get into it. As always, we're going to count the number of elements and get a strategy of how we might do this before we start. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make the body display flex. We're going to center everything. What we're going to do is we're going to, by display flex, we're going to make a div for these two circles, a div for these two circles, center everything, give it a gap, and then within these divs give them a gap to space these out. And then finally, we're going to create two elements for these here and use position absolute and just put them exactly where we want them. Alright, so let's get into it. So we said we've got one, like a container for these two circles. I'm going to call that A. I like to use the letters of the alphabet to cut down on my characters. Oh, excuse me. I forgot to copy that. And then we're going to go ahead and copy this. Create two divs inside, so that's going to be A is going to be this, and then we're going to make this B and this C. So this is going to be B and this is going to be C. Then we're going to copy all of this, paste it below for the right side, and then we're going to need to switch B and C. And finally, copy one more div here. We're going to make two more that are position absolute for those little half circles hanging off the circle there. Okay, so let's style this up. And first thing we're going to do is go to the body. We're going to give it a background. I always use background, not background color, to cut down on characters. This blue color here. We're going to say display flex. Say justify content center. And then finally align items center. And then we need to give this a gap, so between these two. So I'm going to say that's probably what, like 35 pixels would be my guess. Alright, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to give all these other elements the background color of that white color there. So we've got B, C, D, and E. And we're going to say background of this white color. And the next thing we do before we start moving on to A, B, and C is just so, because I don't want to mess with the layout. So these, if we don't give these position absolute right away, it's going to mess with the layout a little bit. So what we're going to do right away is say, whoops, sorry. We're going to give these position absolutes. Now as we start working on these, D&E won't mess with the layout at all because it's now out of the, now it's position absolute. Alright, so we need to look at A, starts, and that is going to have display flex and align items center. And then we need a gap here. I'm going to guess, oh, I don't know. We're going to say that's 20. Now we can move on to B and C. I'm going to start with C because once those are correct, everything else is a lot easier. So I'm going to, actually, and one thing I'm going to do for B and C is before I even work on the size, we're going to give these both border radius of 50%. That way they're circles. All right, so back to C. Now we got to figure out how big this thing is. I'm going to guess 20. Width is 20. Height is 20. It looks about right. The gap looks about right. Everything looks good. All right, good. Obviously, we need to move it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to our A element, this wrapper here. We're going to give it a position of relative and then push it up. Let's guess 20. Nope, too much. 19, 18, 17, nope. I should just went to 15 right away because that's, see what I mean? It's really close, but 14? Okay, cool, but now I think this is too much. Oh, no. We need a little bit more. That looks about as good as we're going to get it. See what I mean? You know, this gap being 36 and this bottom being 14. That's very unusual for CSS battles. Usually they're numbers divisible by 10 or 5 for the most part. So that's the one thing that made this battle a little bit complicated, is those weird values. All right, so then we're going to go on to B. And we got to give it a size. So let's say, I'm going to say, well, actually, I already did this. And if I remember correctly, I can't believe I remember this because my memory's terrible. But I think it had a width and height of 5. Yeah, perfect. I did remember. Let's try 106. No. Maybe 104. That looks about as good as we're going to get it. All right, cool. And then last but not least, we need to look at D and E. And these are already positioned absolute, so we don't need to do that. We're going to come here. And for now, just so we can see it better, we're going to give this a background of red. And we'll get rid of that as soon as we get everything correct. But for now, that'll just help us see what's going on with these a little bit better. All right, so this one, I'm going to, it's basically, if you look here, it's got to come here down to here. That's the height. So it looks like the middle of this circle, because by default, it's going to be put right here. And then this is, you can't see it because it's covered up by this circle, but the way I'm treating this is I'm treating this as like a straight line down, and then that's curved at the bottom. So these are going to be the same, so we're going to something like Width 85, maybe. Height. Oh, no. That's not right. Let's think a width of 70-ish. And then I think a height of 85-ish. It's pretty close. All right, so then let's get it aligned vertically. So top, it's about halfway. Maybe not. 130. That is pretty close. Yeah. That looks pretty good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say border radius and then 0, 0, 70 pixels, 70 pixels. Good. So I'm getting that 70 from the width. Whatever's smaller, the width or the height, if you want this sort of shape, you take the smaller value and that will give you perfectly rounded bottom or top or left or right or whatever you want to do. All right, so then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna just move this over here, and then we'll tweak this a little bit more, make sure it's perfect. So we need to say right, and it's definitely past halfway. I'm gonna guess, I don't know, 170. What am I thinking? The width is 400. That's not even halfway. So 220. A lot more than that. 240. Nope. 250. Getting closer. Let's see if it's 60. Nope, too much. Alright, so it's somewhere in between here. 255, 256, 257. Right. Another strange value, but look at that. We are perfect. Great. And then all we need to do is go to E, or, well, create a selector for E, I should say. I just copied that, change that to E, and we're going to change that to left. Was that a little bit off? Huh. Looks a little bit off. What if I try 8? That looks better. 8. And now the width is a little bit off. Well, no, that's pretty spot on, actually. All right. I'm happy with that. Of course, we got to get rid of this. Good. Yeah. A little bit off. What's going on here? Seems like the height is a little bit more. Let's try 86. And also, wait. Yeah, the width is a little bit too much. So 69. Let's see what happens. 68. That is pretty damn good. And then we're going to, well, this isn't really going to matter, but make that 68. All right. I am satisfied with that. For real this time. Okay. So, your score, of course, is based on your accuracy and the number of characters you use. So I've already deleted the comments that are down normally at the bottom. Last I always like to do is get rid of all the white space. So I'm just highlighting the white space and hitting Command D on a Mac. Not sure what that is on a on Windows. And then that's going to grab all the white space. And then we're going to hit delete. Make sure nothing got messed up. Delete again. Very good, very good. And that just cut down on over 100 characters. So that will help give us a bigger score. If you notice, for my previous submission, I didn't do that. I had 700 characters, so I didn't delete the comments or the white space. So let's see how much my score improves now that we've deleted all that. It'd be a cool little test. I'm going to submit it. And there we go. 100% match. Proved I'm going to match too. And my score went up about 6 points. So, all right. Well, thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.